Let me accept it so I can get it off my screen. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to, I think this is going to be a really fun project. We're making a little clay figurine guy with some yarn and some googly eyes. He's just adorable. This guy is a chameleon, but you do whatever you want to do. I'll show you a couple of tips and tricks that make him the best. Everything that you need for today's class is going to be inside this kit. This is, as far as some of our projects go, this is some of the fewest supplies list. So if you don't have this kit and you want to make it along with us, not a problem. All you need are, let me show you, you're going to need some air dry clay. Let me open the kit and I'll show you from inside here. We'll open this up, it just pulls right off. Oh, you know what? I'm realizing I have not moved my camera so that it's over. There we go. So inside this kit, we just pulled off the sleeve that goes around it. We're going to open our kit and I'll show you what comes inside. So it comes with everything you need to do a couple of the two other projects. There's enough for you to do that project 3 times. So if you have brothers and sisters, they can do it along with you. Or if it's just you and you want to do it a couple of times, awesome. Or maybe if you're like me, you want to do it once the way that they said in the book, and then the other 2 times you just want to like make it up as you go along. That's also totally allowed. What we're going to need for this project today, though, is pretty simple. We're going to need some air dry clay. Looks like this, really, really soft. When you first get it, we're going to need it in 2 colors. You need some blue and some green. You're going to need some pink and some yellow yarn. We're going to need some googly eyes, some glue, all of the good stuff that comes with the kit. That's what we're going to need for today's class. Okay, so let me put this to the side and I'll show you how we're going to do it. Okay. One other thing that just so you know, each kit comes with a book, looks like this, and it has all of the instructions that you need. Now, if you didn't buy a kit and you're going to just use whatever colors of air dry clay that you have at home to make our little chameleon, totally okay. These kits and the templates for everything that you need to do these projects along with us, you can go to michaels.com/camp Creatology, and that will have everything you need, including these brochures, so you can print off the instructions and go from there. So it's really great that if you buy the kit, everything you need is there, but if you're going to go without the kit, you still get to do it with us, and we're really excited about that. So today we're going to make a guy that looks kind of like this, is what we're going to try to do. Make our version of it, but it's going to be on the page 5 of your book. And we're going to do the yarn wrapped clay character, but he definitely is going to be a chameleon. So like I said, we have our green air dry clay, we have our blue, we have our green and our yellow yarn. I have some googly eyes, some glue, and that's really all we're going to need for this today. Okay, guys. Oh, you'll need a ruler to measure your yarn and some scissors to cut the yarn. But that's really it. So I'm going to put this guy up here so you can kind of see what we're making. He's going to be in our top corner and we're going to get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the yarn and the scissors and the googly eyes kind of over to the side, because we're going to start with these pieces. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my clay. And I'm going to pull it out. And when you first, I don't know if you've used this clay before, but when you first pull it out of the container, it's going to feel kind of slimy. So what I like to do is just play with it for a little bit, and that gets all of that slimy kind of like wet out, and then it just becomes normal like clay that you can work with. So we're going to need to divide this guy up into 2 sections. Okay, so I'm going to make make my guy. And we're going to do it into 3 sections. And so what I'm going to do is I use my scissors and I'm going to cut, that's 1, okay? And then that's 2. And then I'm going to kind of put them side by side and make sure that they all kind of look the same. And they all look like they're about the same. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to divide it into 2. I'm going to just cut it down the middle. Okay, like that. One of these is going to turn into the head, and one of these is going to turn into the feet and the arms. And then these pieces are going to go back into one piece, and that's going to be the body. Okay, pretty straightforward. It's easiest to, instead of trying to cut all those little pieces off, it's easiest to start with 3 pieces and then divide and conquer from there. Okay, and it walks you through all of that in the book. Okay. Actually, we're going to do this next step and we're going to cut this into 4 sections. So there's one arm. There's another arm. And here's our 2 little legs. Okay. So we'll come to those in a minute. So those are all of our pieces. This will be our head. And first that we're going to do is we're going to do our body. Okay. So we're going to make this section right here. Okay. So it shows it all finished with the yarn wrapped around it. And then the tail coiled. But you can't really make that work to start with. You can't, like, we don't have a needle to feed the yarn through. So I'm going to show you how we're actually going to make this happen. They kind of skipped a step in this instruction. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a snake. You guys all know how to make a snake, right? We're going to roll it out, and then I'm going to make one side kind of bat. Okay. I'm going to make him kind of big and kind of like bat, like that. And then the back side is going to get really kind of thinner, not too thin, but just kind of like that. Okay. And then we're going to kind of pull it and pull it like this. And then we're going to let this become this. So this is how it's going to start. We're going to make it kind of looks like a horn, right? Or a dinosaur fang or a claw, but that's how we're going to start it. That's where we're going to kind of live. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut our thread, and we need 30 inches of both the yellow and of the pink. Okay. And this, once you untie that knot, you can just really easily just kind of pull it through. And 30 inches is not as much as you think it is. So let's use our ruler. And 30 inches is going to be 12. So it's going to be 2 feet and 6 inches. So there's 1 foot. 2 feet. And then we just need 6 inches. So right here is where we'll cut it. And then we're going to put the yellow away, and we're going to need the same thing with the pink. Okay. Okay. And instead of using my ruler, I'm going to just use the yarn that I just cut because it's easier that way. Okay. We'll put this over to the side because we don't need it anymore. And then where on other projects, we've wrapped both colors together. This one, you kind of do it separately. So what I like to do is I like to start and I decide which is going to be my back. And then I just kind of push it in and then push this over it so that that helps kind of like, that's where it's going to stay. And then I'm just going to kind of like wrap it, skip a little bit, wrap it. And then I just kind of like wrap it however I want all the way down. And then I'm going to come back and push it kind of in. Now, the instructions here have you using glue, but we're using clay, so we might as well use clay to fasten it all together, okay? So see, now the clay is doing that job and it's all together. And now we're going to do the same exact thing with the yellow. Like this is like the easiest part. We're not recreating the wheel. We're not making something really hard. We're just going to now kind of tuck the yellow in a little bit there, right? And then we're going to wrap it around. And you see, we're just kind of like making yellow stripes. And then we get it back over and we're going to kind of tuck it in, put some stuff over it like that. Okay. And then now we've got it, our body wrapped. Now we're going to do what the tail. So now we're going to curl this in like this. And now you're going to let it dry like this. And that is how you get it like this. And now you'll notice I didn't cover this part a lot because that is going to be a lot. That's going to be covered mostly by the head. So this is how you get the yarn wrapped coiled tail. And then the body. So that's how it works. We're going to kind of let it dry a little bit. That's that there like that. So while that's drying, we're going to move on to our heads. Now, this is tricky because this is like a really thick piece, right? So instead of trying to do another ball and just sitting it on top, I'll show you how I made it work to get this shape that looks like the chameleon. I did it a little bit differently than what they showed here, okay? I made a ball first, okay? And then, so I made myself a ball, and then I kind of pushed it down and made like an oval. And then I kind of like shaped it out. And then I kind of made like a little triangle like this. And then I folded that over. It needs to be a little bit bigger still. I'll show you. So we're going to kind of make it look like this shape, and it's going to fit better on our body. So you're kind of making like a round on the bottom and then like kind of like a little bit of a triangle like that. You see how it's like a round triangle, like big edges. And then what we're going to do is we are going to put it over our character like this. And this then becomes our body. And then we can like curl that up. And then this is where we'll put our little spines to. And then this part can come in and then can be the nose. And then what I like to do is use the edges of my scissors and push in. And that's kind of how we get our mouth. And we can push this out, like that. And then you can use both sides of it. See, it's double-sided. But that's how it works. That's the body of my, that's the face and the body of my chameleon, okay? It's pretty straightforward. So it looks like this. So now what it's missing are some legs and some feet. So I like to take my two pieces and I'm going to kind of just roll them out. You know how to do this. You're going to make little snakes, okay? Little like stubby little like snakes that kind of have flat edges. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do for my feet, okay? I'm going to make, because if you look at theirs, they have, you see how they have like these three little feet, toes that stick out? Well, we're talking about tiny, tiny little pieces of clay, like tiny pieces of clay. That's too hard to try to make work because the clay wants to come off. I tried forever and I just decided I didn't like, that wasn't going to work. And so mine was going to look a little bit differently. So what I did is I cut little slits and then kind of kept it together, but then it dries like with the ridges. You see that? It still looks like it has toes and it worked out really, really well. So we're going to do that same thing. So if this is our big leg, and you can kind of like the back ones, if you do it like they do, the back ones are just straight. And then the front ones are kind of bent. So we'll show you how to do that. But I like to just cut 1 and 2, and then I kind of put them together and let it dry like that. And then you see how my foot has little, get it over where you can see it. Then my foot has little lines, so it actually looks like this little piece of clay has toes, but I'm not having to try to worry about like breaking it out into pieces, because you can see it just doesn't work very well. So like I like to leave it like that. So we're gonna put this one here on the back. We're gonna kind of put it over the top like that, like there, okay? And then we're gonna kind of push him, bend him down. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the back side. We're gonna cut my toes. I'll show you how I'm doing it. So you cut 1, 2, and you'll see when I try to like turn these, like you can kind of try to turn it in. It just gets really really hard, but that gives me kind of like a little foot looking thing. And that totally works for my gecko. And then I'm going to put this little guy down. And so I'm going to kind of put these together on the back of my body. So this becomes my legs, and I can like have it bend if I want, have it go like this, like you can do however you want. I might have it bend forward towards the front. And so that's going to be how those guys lay. Okay. So there's those done. And then we're going to do the same thing with our front feet, except we're going to make them curve a little bit more. So I'm going to make them like I normally like to have one side a little bit flatter. And then this side is going to be the ones that we're going to cut our little 1, 2, and then kind of like push those in. That then turns into my little guy. And then we're going to put those little arms right there. See, so now he's got some arms. We'll do the same thing on the back arm. Kind of like a little bit of an angle. We're going to do the same thing. We'll cut him. Let's see, 1, 2. There we go. Okay, and so now you can see we can get him to stand up. Once he's a little bit drier, he's still pretty wet. That will work really, really well. You'll be able to get him to stand up, and everything will stick down, and that will work really well. You kind of just have to give him a minute to dry. So our next step is we are going to add our blue little like spikes along the back and then around the front. So I'm going to put him on his side while he's drying. We're going to pull out our blue. And this is where you can make these guys as spiky as you want. Like if you want them to be spiky and sharp, do it that way. If you want to do like how this one on the picture is, or they're a little bit like kind of dull, you can do it that way too. Kind of like what it looks like here, right? Where it's a little bit scalloped on here. So you can do it that way too. However you want to do it works for me. I'm going to do it where I'm going to make little sections. And again, you just kind of have to play with it for a minute so it doesn't feel slimy while you're, when you first pull it out of the wrapping, let the air get to it and it stops feeling quite so like greasy. Okay. And then I made it into like a thick little snake, kind of like this. And then I decided I just cut off like little like snippets like this, as many as I needed. There's 2, 3. Okay, so that's enough. Well, let's see, and I think that might be a little bit big. So we'll just pull a little bit off. And so then what I do is I make a little bit of a circle, make myself a little circle. And then I just kind of pinch the top of one like that and then make it flat so that it kind of looks like this as I go along. And then I'm going to put one right here. You kind of have to like hold it down on the with the yarn in place, but there.
So there's one, right? There's my first little spike. And then we'll do another one, make a little circle. And we're gonna pinch the side like that, push this part in so that it kind of looks like a triangle. Do you see how I did that? And then I don't want it to be like a sharp triangle, so I kind of like soften the edges like that. And then we're gonna push that down here. Okay, so there's those two. And then I'm gonna start doing it around the top. And we're gonna do little smaller sections. Same process, make a circle, make a little dough ball. And then we're gonna kind of pinch the side, push it flat like that, so it looks like that. And then we're gonna just make it softer, and then we're gonna go like this in here. Attach it to there. And we're just gonna kind of go all the way around and do it that way. Down, make it flat, soften it a little bit. And then we're gonna push that here. It's almost like we're making like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Or like a little, some kind of like little dinosaur, right? Okay. Keep going. Push there. And we'll just do one or two more on the back. That right there. And so then now we have kind of one that has like a little, it has little little ribbons all the way around. It has our little like our little spikes down the back. And now that is like a very cute, push this little nose up a little bit because he's not quite so, kind of starting to look like it's a, I don't know what it's looking like. A little doggy maybe. We'll smooth this so that it doesn't look so rough. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we are going to add our eyes. We'll need two. Now you could do a whole lot of things, like you could make a really cool snake with the green and blue and the yellow and pink yarn. You could make, what else could you make with these colors? You could make a fish if you wanted to make a fish. We'll put our little eyeball there, and then we'll put another one on this side. You could make a butterfly, a turtle would be really cute. You could do all sorts of really cool things if you decide, you know what, I don't want to do a chameleon. I want to do something else. So what I'm hoping you guys will do is once you finish making yours, if you've made it along with us today, awesome. If not, I want you to make sure and post it to social media with your adult and your grown-ups, and I want you to post it to Michael's classes or make it with Michael's, and let us know what you made so that we can see it, because I want to see what you guys made. Now there is my super cute little chameleon. And then you kind of want to keep him separate, keep his little beats separate before until he's dried all the way. Because then once he's dry all the way, you can have him stand up, and you can stand like that. See how he's standing? You can do it however you want. And then the thing to know about this is
this clay, whatever you have left of it that you don't use, if you leave it out, it will dry. This thing will be super hard. Like do you hear how hard that is? This is so hard. I'm not squeezing it. I can't squeeze it anymore. It dries really, really hard. So you have to be, if you wanted to keep this, you'd have to like wrap it in saran wrap and make sure that it's airproof so that it can't get, it doesn't have any air into it, because the air will dry this out and it won't take very long either. But once this has a chance to sit and to like let dry, tomorrow, 24 hours, typically, sometimes less than that, it'll be ready for you to play with and put on a shelf and do whatever you want with it. Another thing you could do is if you wanted to, once he's all dry, you could pull out paint and paint this. Like there's a million different things that you could do to add to it. Or if you decide you don't want to do it with the yarn, you want to do it with pipe cleaners, you could totally do pipe cleaners. Like any way that you want to like decorate it yourself is totally okay. If you have any questions, let us know. But I think that is all I have. I'm looking at my instructions. We've gone over everything. So thank you guys so much for watching today. It was really fun to do this project with you. I hope you guys post pictures so that we can see how cute your little characters are. And we will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.